Good morning, everyone. I'm home alone. All the visitors have just left. I'm wearing, look, isn't that pretty? It's a dress, just the way I like it. My daughter brought me. It's wonderful when your children know what you like to wear. Anywho, so everybody has left. Work got done, yes. And both Mama and Papa were here. We had some really nice conversations around the kitchen table with good home cooked meals, and I was able to send some along with them as well. So I'm a happy camper. Now I'm home alone. I really should be doing some cleaning, but it was all cloudy and dreary, and I decided, I think I'm going to do my Bible reading, my Bible video first. And the sun started to come out just a little, like, yep, that's a good idea, Daniela. I love God's confirmations in all that I do. Okay, so Genesis 23. I don't have anything to say before. So let's get going here to start with. Might need to have a lot to say about this, so my own personal stories have to wait. The tomb of the patriarchs, Genesis 23. The length of Sarah's life was 127 years. She died at Kiriath Arba, New Hebron, in the land of Canaan, and Abraham proceeded to mourn and bewail her. Aww. Sarah went before Abraham. I could see, when you have a really good relationship with your spouse, right? When one of them suddenly, after so many years, passes away, the other one's a little lost in the world, right? Yeah, your better half is gone, either way. Either husband or wife is suddenly gone. And the work you did together as a union, a unit together, either one had certain things that you did for each other to complement each other. Now suddenly one part's gone, right? Yeah. Well, they're still with us in spirit, yet still, right? It's a big change. Then rising from beside his dead, Abraham spoke to the Hittites. I am a stranger resident here, he said. Let me have a burial site of my own here, so that I can remove my dead for burial. The Hittites replied to Abraham, Please listen to us, my lord. We regard you as a prince of God. Bury your dead in the best of our tombs. Not one of us would refuse you his tomb for you to bury your dead. Oh. Well, according to this though, right, Abraham and Sarah were well liked, right? Yes? That's really nice. At this, Abraham rose and bowed low to the local people, the Hittites, and pleaded with them as follows. If you consent to my removing my dead for burial, you must agree to intercede for me with Ephron, son of Zohar, for him to let me have the cave he owns at Machpelah, which is on the edge of his field. Let him sell it to me in your presence at its full price for a burial site of my own. Now Ephron was sitting among the Hittites, and Ephron the Hittite answered Abraham in the hearing of the Hittites, of all the inhabitants of his town, "No, my lord, listen to me," he said. I give you the field and the cave in it. Make this gift in the presence of my kinsmen. Bury your dead. Wow. Wow. I'm afraid to say something now, wondering what comes next. So let's read on first. Abraham bowed low to the local people, and in the hearing of the local people replied to Ephron as follows: "Be good enough to listen to me. I shall pay the price of the field. Accept it from me, and I shall bury my dead there." Ephron replied to Abraham, "Please listen to me, my lord. What is a plot of land for 400 shekels of silver between me and you? Bury your dead." Abraham agreed to Ephron's terms, and Abraham weighed out for Ephron the silver he had stipulated in the hearing of the Hittites, namely 400 shekels of silver, according to the current commercial rate. Thus Ephron's field at Machpelah, facing Mamre, there's something about that word, Mamre, the field and the cave in it, and all the trees anywhere within the boundaries of the field, passed into Abraham's possession in the sight of the Hittites, of all the inhabitants of his town. And after this, Abraham buried his wife Sarah in the cave of the field of Machpelah, facing Mamre, now Hebron, in the land of Canaan. And so the field and the cave in it passed from the Hittites into Abraham's possession as a burial site of his own. That's it. Short one. How nice. That's a really nice the give and take between people and the witnesses to the give and take of a good thing. Yes, that's nice. Actually, this is nice to actually see. So we had to get just about to 23. All right, there was one or two before that in the beginning, where goodness now shines through, right? Yes? All right, so Abraham kind of did make a request, right? And obviously it shows he really cared about his wife. And once he passes away, right, hopefully he will still be around that cave and that field where then he could be buried next to her. Interesting. You know, I find it interesting when the woman passes away first, right? And the husband is still alive. Often there isn't any fighting going on over the possessions, right? Most of the time, I'm sure it happens anyway. But when the husband passes away first, it's even now difficult for the woman to try to be able to hold on to what they had together without either the children or someone else coming and wanting it, right? And that's kind of sad, right? Yes, unless, of course, there is a will in place that clearly states everything. And then still, yeah? It's interesting to me that there are actually people, relatives of people who have passed away. Then the relative had made decisions on where things go, this, that. And then either the relatives around that person or people get upset and angry over it, or start to contest the will. In a way, this little story tells us on how to be clear, right, on how you finish things up, or when one prepares for one's own death, right? To make sure when you have anything, when you do have something people could be fighting over, that you're very clear about what goes where. So what I did, uh, mainly also because I thought I was changing continents again, I made sure that I gave everything that had any kind of value I didn't need to hold on to, but were little heirloom things, little things to remember me by, right? I already handed out to everybody, especially my children. So there really isn't anything that if I pass away that there is to fight over. They're probably going to fight over who's going to have to clean up all the stuff that nobody's going to want. Yeah. So I own very little when it comes down to it, if that has any kind of worth to anyone out there, right? When it comes to money or treasures, right? I mean, valuable, again, that's worth money, right? Yes? Yeah. Because when I pass, I don't want anybody to fight over anything that I still leave behind. That would be very, very sad for me to have to watch that from spirit. Anywho, so, right? And how often I went through it 2 or 3 times where I just went, all right, well, one time I said, okay, I know how to figure this out. Because again, everybody loves money. It's amazing how that works. Money does. Takes care of a lot of things. And in other cases, it was, I just said, I can't be a part of this, though you need me for that. I can't be a part of this until we do this in a proper, peaceful manner, without pointing fingers, without worrying who gets more or less or whatever. And that's what we do. I find it interesting on how people fight over things, property even, as someone else's bank account they never worked for. uh, at all. Something to think about. So, this is a very nice story of Abraham. First of all, the sadness over Sarah's passing, and then the care, right, still for her in the physical, that he was adamant about. Not just hoping, begging, adamant about on how he would like to have this done and then for himself. I think that the Hittites and Ephraim, right? That was his name. I think that was his name. On how they really respected that and were touched by that. Where then it wasn't just the cave, but the field around it, right? As well was included. That's, I won't just give you the cave. I'll give you, due to how I see and how you are so dedicated. So here it is. what happened in Sarah's and Abraham's union, their unit before, right? And then they got to where together? There was restoration. There were temptations, right? Then the consequences of set temptations, and then restoration. Right? And at the end of Sarah's life, right, it all kind of came together, and the people watching around could respect that and gave more. Right? We're willing to just give. Abraham said, no, we're going to do this the right way, the proper way. Right? Yes? That's give and take right there, working together, right? Having goodwill towards each other. Nice, very nice. I like Genesis 23. At least in the way that I perceive the story, right? Yes? Maybe we can learn a little something from it. Yeah. It's sometimes hard not to get pulled into, right, what the majority is doing. Though really, when it comes down to our heart to mind, our conscience is telling us, but this isn't right. Then how to respond, right, in a way that it becomes a teaching rather than just, oh, look, she's being rebellious again, has to say something against everything, this and that, right? And yet, that's not how I feel about it. It's about, yeah, but if the conflict between people continues to exist, right, in simple areas like burying our dead and then what goes with it afterwards, well, then shouldn't we take a stance and say, but this shouldn't be done that way? Right? With people getting angry at each other, start to contest wills, right? And relationships break apart because one gets more than the other. So again, even if someone gets way more or even steals it in a way, you have to ask yourself, well, what right do I have to any of it? Because I didn't work for it. Right? I didn't. And if there is a proper will, then one has to accept the wishes of the dead, right? Yes? Okay. Well, anyway, that's something we can all work on, I think. And I would also say, right, if people beforehand have a certain wish and the finances of the person who has the wish is there to be buried in the way that they want to, then that should be done as well, right? Yeah, rather than, well, that's going to cost a lot of money. Let's just do it a little. Right? That wouldn't be right either, is it? Yeah. Yeah. As I said, yeah, to do the right thing, to be persistent, constant. It's a good lesson. Genesis 23, good lesson. Thank you, Abraham. This is one we have to say, I agree and 100% approve of the message. That's all I have to share today. I got things to do. Never gets boring here. God's love and blessings always, and may He protect you. And I will talk to you all another time.